Whether you're an immigrant or not, you're going to suffer if we're overburdening our medical system, our medical industry. You're going to suffer. Everyone's going to suffer if we keep doing this kind of stuff. Okay, hello everyone. Welcome back to the show. My name is Lawrence. This is What's News. Today I am breaking down a video made about me from a content creator known as a Do, who is an explicit, outspoken communist. He calls himself a communizer. And he made a video reacting to what happened the other day at Albanese's press conference, where I confronted him and asked him questions about, the medical system and the medical industry and how it's being, overburdened by immigration. He makes a video not only making some personal statements about me, but bringing up some data points. So I thought I would respond to both the personal statements and I would break down the data and where that data is coming from and just kind of debunk his whole argument, because it's really pretty nonsensical when you pick it apart. So let's watch the whole video and then I'll go from there and we'll break it apart.
Mr. Albanese, don't you think 1.8 million immigrants in 5 years is going to increase demand on the medical system?
These people do not give a f about the healthcare system. Like literally every other facet of Australian society, the anti-immigrant lobby only care about healthcare insofar as they can use it to justify scapegoating immigrants. That's it. If Lawrence actually knew anything about what he was supposedly protesting, he would have read the Australian Medical Association's yearly and highly publicised reports on the health system, which clearly state the problems: an ageing population combined with inadequate funding, workforce shortages, and a backlog from COVID. Despite making up 17% of the population, Australians over 65 make up 50% of the total patient days occupying beds in public hospitals. And given the majority of immigrants have been predominantly young international students, any cut to immigration would have completely marginal, if any at all, effects on the healthcare system, much less on the actual systemic issues that plague the system. I mean, these people could not give less of a f about the health system or any other, top issue amongst the Australian public, whether it be cost of living, housing. They just see these as tools. I mean, most of these people were anti-vax during COVID. You think they actually care about the hospital system? No, they just care about upholding and preserving and justifying a system that ultimately benefits them and prioritizes profits and devaluing and deprioritizing public services. And if they have to scapegoat immigrants on the way, they'll do that. And they are.
Mr. Albanese.
Okay, so there's the whole video. A lot of stuff said. So let's just break in. Let's get into it. I don't want to waste time in this video. So he starts off by saying that I could not give a shit about the medical industry. That, I couldn't care less. That, I only care about this because I hate immigrants so much. I hate foreigners so much. Brown people, man. Like I said in my previous video, my mum depends on this system, okay? She's in social housing. She depends on the social medical system, public medical system. So for you to say that I don't give a shit about this stuff and the only reason I'm saying any of this is out of hatred is just so disgusting to me. Like I said, my mum relies on this, not only her, but her friends around her, the people she goes to church with, the people she goes to the RSL with. And I know that there's thousands, millions of people in the exact same position as her. So it's disgusting if you just say that, okay? Whether you're an immigrant or not, you're going to suffer if we're overburdening our medical system, our medical industry. You're going to suffer. Everyone's going to suffer if we keep doing this kind of stuff, okay? It's impossible to keep up with that. These guys, they don't understand the scarcity principle. They don't understand that it requires a fair bit of labor, a fair bit of time, and a fair bit of resources to make these things happen. But anyway, let's keep going. I want to get through this pretty quickly. So after that, he refers to a report. Now, this isn't a study, by the way. This is a report. And a report is very different from a study. A report, most of the time, is sort of like a pitching guide, right? It's a pitching manual or pitching resource, meaning that it's something that was created to try and get funding. That's basically what these things are. And it's very funny that he used a report again to defend his argument, because Purple Pingers, the notorious, also did the same thing a couple months ago, and I responded to it as well. So in the Purple Pingers video, this is it. I'm not going to play the whole thing. You can kind of watch it and see what happens. Okay, but in this video, Purple Pingers refers to this Essentia report, which talks about student accommodation, talks about housing, right? And it's basically a pitch to get more funding for student accommodation. And at the end it says, here, look, if we built this many houses, it'd have this much effect on the rental demand, etc., etc. again, not going into demand, not talking about immigration, not saying, oh, maybe we should just stop it for a while. Because again, they want it constantly going. Well, they want this like just constant growth, because they can keep getting funding, more and more funding, more and more money. And you know, that money, it just slips through the cracks. It goes into bureaucrats' pockets and they just profit from it. But left-wing people, for some reason, want to defend this, right? So Purple Pink has made a whole video about this, using only this reference, only this resource, to defend his position that immigrants aren't affecting the housing crisis. And I broke it down, and I basically just cooked him. And he replied saying, oh, you're lying, as they usually do. But Adu is doing the exact same thing. He's using this report here, the 2025 Public Hospital Report Card, to defend his position, saying that, you know, oh, the report says it's only about, it only comes down to aging population. It only comes down to inadequate funding and workforce shortages. I mean, God, man, look at the ABS. Just read through the ABS data and you'll realize that doesn't make any sense, which is what we'll do. But my point here is this is a report. It's not a study, okay? There is bias in this, implicit in this. Okay, so, but even more funny than that though, another report from this same organization, this same association, the Australian Medical Association, goes into it and explicitly says that it's the population growth that is overburdening the medical system. Okay, so we can read through this. So, while the number of public hospital beds in Australia has been slowly increasing over time, our population has been growing much faster. In total, 1,932 new public hospital beds became available between 2017 to 2018 and 2022 to 2023, from 63,119 to 65,051. Yet our population grew by more than 1 million people over the same period. Unfortunately, this means we only have installed 16 new beds for every 10,000 new Australians since 2018 to 2019, far below our capacity of 25.3 beds for every 10,000 Australians in 2017 to 2018, as demonstrated by the AMA Public Hospital Report Card. These problems have existed for years, and the new funding agreement in 2025 offers the opportunity to address it. Okay, so they pointed out that there's a problem, that the population growth, right, is outpacing the infrastructure growth, right? The growth we're having in the medical systems. And the solution can never be to reduce demand. Can never be. They never talk about demand. Because demand, that's just inherent to Australia. Millions of people coming in every year is just part of the Australian culture. No, instead they say it's more funding. We always need more funding. If we have more funding, we'll eventually keep up. And these ideologues, like Adu, subscribe to that. I've debated him before, and his ideology makes him believe that we can just have infinite immigrants, right? He doesn't understand the scarcity principle. That's basically what it boils down to. But let's keep going. Let's break down some of this stuff a bit more. Okay, so after that, he goes into some data, right? Which I love data, so let's go into that. So I've already mentioned this. He says that, you know, this report says it's only these three things, when another report explicitly says it's population growth. So lovely. And then afterwards, he brings up this graph showing that, you know, 17% of the population is overburdening the medical system, because it's all the old people. It's all the old people overburdening the medical system, as you'd expect, right? They have the most amount of health problems. But let's use our brains. Let's break this down a bit, okay? Because his whole point is that, the main demographic we're bringing into this country are people in their 20s to 30s, who are all students, the majority. So immigration really isn't having a significant effect, because all those young people aren't going into the emergency wards, all this kind of stuff. But again, it makes no sense, because let's look at the demographics of people coming into the country, okay? Let's look at it, because we've got data. May as well use it. So these are the demographics, right? And we can see, yeah, he's got a point to an extent. Most of the people coming in are students, okay? We've had like almost 400,000 for the past, decade per year. But my word, do we have a lot of permanent visa holders and citizens coming in, right? So we've had about almost 200,000 every year. So now the report was talking about 2017 to 2018, and rounding up, it said that we have about 2,000 hospital beds being created per year. Well, if you just take into account the permanent visa holders and the Australian citizens that have come over, we've got about 200,000 people that came in within that year alone. And we built 2,000 beds. Okay, now you can make, they're still young people. They're mainly just still young people, aren't they? So it doesn't matter. It's not going to affect the industry at all. Well, let's look at how old these people were, shall we? Because again, we have the data. So let's look at the data. So 2018, 2019, close enough. It would be like probably around the same, right? But yeah, he's kind of right. Most people coming in are in their 20s to 30s. Okay, fair enough then. But the people in their 50s to 60s still account for some of that population. And here you can see a person, between 2018 to 2019, we've had about almost 1,500 50-year-old females come in. And we had about 1,500 50-year-old males come in. 3,000 50-year-old migrants coming in. And you keep going down the years, there are thousands and thousands and thousands of people in their 50s and 60s coming into this country every year. This is within 1 year, right? This is just the age breakdown. But you go here, let's go to 2023 to 2024. There's almost more coming in, right? So there's thousands. There's so many people coming in. Again, we built 2,000 beds in a year, guys. Okay, 2018 to 2019, 2,000 beds in a year. It makes no sense. He's totally lying. It's a complete, blatant lie. And he's just an ideologue. So, again, what more can I say about that? The stats speak for themselves. It's so painfully obvious that it's controlled decline. Okay, they are managing this decline because it's so obvious. All you have to do is close the border. But they don't want to talk about it. So, what else do I have here to talk about? Okay, so I had to record this post-production because I realized I forgot to bring up this point as well. But here's another graph showing the amount of people we have in the country versus the hospital beds we've got. So, here's the millions of people coming in, or our overall population, and here's the amount of beds we've got. So it's just not keeping up at all. Here's the graph that I do showed as well, and here is the beds per person we've got. Okay, and you can see just plummeting, which is pretty in line with the immigration rates too, right? So again. So this is national percentage of emergency department visits completed in 4 hours or less. So if you're in a car crash, if you had a heart attack, if you have any of these things happen to you, your chances of surviving that incident are drastically decreasing. And that's real, okay? And I just want to remind everyone that it's easy to get caught up in these numbers. Oh, there was like so many thousands and thousands. There was 1,500 this year. There was 1,000 this year. Every one of these people as a family. Okay, every one of these people is an individual, whether they're an immigrant or not. Okay, they are being affected by this, and they're going to suffer from this. And it's criminal. It's so criminally irresponsible to be doing this kind of stuff. The other point I didn't mention was in regards to families coming in. We have multiple visa arrangement deals with other countries. One being India, for example, with the ECTA agreement, which allows workers who are here for like 4 years or so to bring the whole family over with them. Okay, so that's why we're getting this overburdening our medical system as well, because these family members are coming over, and you see it. You see people on the streets with their whole families around them, with their grandma and grandpa pushing around baby strollers. You see them in their houses all in one place together, trying to save money on rental mortgages. It's so painfully obvious, and that's what none of these people want to mention. None of the government officials want to mention. So I had to mention that as well. Back to the video. I think that's basically the only point he made. I think he just references that, and then he says, I couldn't give a shit because I'm anti-vax, therefore I don't care about the medical industry, even though pretty much everyone in Australia is pretty much everyone around the world is outraged that the medical industry betrayed them and lied to them, when all along the solution was early preventative medicine. Okay, just give them medication to treat the symptoms so they don't get overburdened by their symptoms and end up in the ICU. Okay, we're up in the emergency ward. It was so obvious to all of us. So yeah, I'm anti-vax. I didn't get one of them. I didn't get a single shot. I'm never going to get them. So yeah, I stand by that. I'm proud of myself for advocating against that. So anyway, what else? Yeah, again, that's really all the points he makes. I just broke it down for you. Okay, we are overburdening our medical system due to mass immigration. It's so painfully obvious. I think I just had more data points here. But that's all I really need to make my point. He's an ideologue. He doesn't want to actually look into the data because it would destroy his whole worldview. And that's about that. So thanks for watching. Cheers.